It's your girl Maria back. I'm back with another video for you guys. If you're new to my channel, welcome. Thank you for joining Maria Back Gang slash family. If you're not new, thank you for coming back, bruh, sis. Thank you for coming back. So, basically, this video is going to be my experience working at Walmart. So, maybe you already work at Walmart, or you think about working at Walmart, or maybe you in the process of you already had your orientation, but you're trying to see if it's for you or not. So, sorry y'all, I'm getting over a cold, so if my voice sound like in and out, that's why. I got my water. So anyway, basically I'm gonna give you the breakdown of my experience. My experience could be different from your experience, or it could be the same. This is how it all went down. I'm just gonna get straight into it. So when it came to how I applied, I went on Indeed to apply for Walmart or whatever. So we had 3 Walmarts in my area, and the other 2 Walmarts that I really had wanted to work at, they wasn't hiring. But this one Walmart in particular that I did work at, I was not feeling it, because not because of the area was bad or nothing, but in my city, in my town, we call it the hood Walmart, because a bunch of stuff go down in that Walmart more so than the other 2 Walmarts, because it's like in the upscale neighborhood, if you feel what I'm saying. This Walmart that I worked at was like mid-class, which it doesn't matter. Like, drama is everywhere. You feel me? So anyway, how I applied was on Indeed. I had got a message back saying they had open interviews. So I went to the open interview, dressed like a boss. I had my little blazer, my little undershirt, and my little dress pants and heels, had my hair slayed to the guys. So I went in there like confidence, like I got this, you feel me? So basically I had applied for the the meet and greet person, basically the greet person at the door. I applied for cake decorator. I just applied for everything basically. So when I was looking for the orientation, I was like, I went to customer service and I was like, hey, how you doing? I showed them the email and stuff that I got from Indeed, and they look at me up and down like, you a little overdressed to be coming to work for Walmart. And I was like, red flag. Like, that's discrimination. Like, what's wrong with the way I dress for an interview? Like, how am I supposed to dress? Like a bum? Like, what do you want me to dress like? So I just ignored the girl. And I was like, are y'all having open interviews or not? Like, I was trying to get attitude, but I said it politely. And she was like, yeah, in the back, like, through the door, double doors, what electronics said. Just go through those double doors. So I was like, okay. So I went back there, because she wasn't being Pacific. So I went back there. It was an elderly lady who was sweet. And she was like, yeah, sweetheart, you go through the double doors, you make a right, and you're going to pass by the lockers and go to the HR office. So I was like, okay, thank you. Girl up front just rude. But anyway, went into the open interview. It was packed. It wasn't like packed, but it was packed. What I disliked was it wasn't enough space. I felt like they should have done like a one-on-one, like have different people interview, because they had all this work put on this one woman who was pregnant, and she barely could get through the interview because she was having Braxton Hicks contractions. We was concerned because the way she was acting, like she was actually going into labor. She had a pee, just doing pregnant stuff. So everybody was concerned. Like, we was like, are we about to deliver a baby today? Like, is she okay? So I just felt like they should have had an extra person there knowing that she was in that predicament, knowing that you had a bunch of supervisors and other HR people and people coming in and out the office that were management, upper management and stuff. Like, you see this woman struggling. Like, why I ain't come help this lady? So it took one person to say something, and one lady was like, "Oh yeah, I'll come back after I get finished doing stuff up front. I'm gonna come back and help you." Like, I just felt like that was like crazy. But anyway, so she did like a round table interview. The other people, like, she was having interviews and orientation at the same time, basically. So people was in orientation at the time during my interview. Like, they was on the computers, and there was so many flies in the office, and I'm like, oh my god, why are there so many flies in this office? You know what I'm saying? But so she asked like where we work at before, like tell us about ourselves. She just asked a question like why we want to work for Walmart. And, I just basically said I want to work for Walmart, I want to try something new. And so, make a long story short, so, like, I would say 3 days later, she had orientation for my group, the ones who got hired. In my group, we had orientation. I wasn't overly dressed because everybody was complaining about how I was overly dressed. So this time for orientation, I wasn't overly dressed. Like, I had like a regular shirt and some, some jeans and some boots or whatever and a jacket. So I wasn't overly dressed. So I went to orientation. It was the same group or whatever. So basically, she was giving us a rundown. We had to be on a computer, do information. She was guiding us through the if you work for Walmart, you know what I'm about to say, the Me at Walmart app. She was basically guiding us through it, how to work it, how to operate it. She said sometimes it's gonna work and sometimes it's not, and I was concerned about that because I'm like, this is how I'm clocking in and out. This is how I'm getting my pay. So she basically said you have 2:15s and an hour break. And I was like, an hour break? Like, are you sure? And she was like, yeah, you got an hour break. Then you get 5 points. You have a 5-point system. And I was like, dang, so if somebody call out or merge, everybody better show up, basically. Like, nobody better not miss no days or nothing because, like, you only got 5 points. Like, people go through 5 points in a heartbeat. You know what I'm saying? So, anyway, one thing she didn't do, she didn't show us around the store because I understand her, the condition she was in. She, she was pregnant. I was in the back. Like, the people that was in my orientation, they had little attitudes. You had 3 girls who was loud. You had one that was a kiss ass. Excuse me for my French, but I just gotta say it. She kissed butt all the time. Like, she was just, one minute she your friend, next minute she was like, oh yeah. Like, she was too happy for me. Like, you was too fake. Then a girl in the middle, she was a big girl. She was a heavy-set girl. She was like me. And, like, the HR lady, she, like, was like, Maria, why you all the way back there? You could come up and be part of the group. And I'm like, like, I'm the type of person who's quiet, humble, and I observe my surroundings. Because I learned my lesson in the past. Don't friend your coworkers. Don't date nobody at your job. Like, I learned from my last job, which I give you a story time about that later. But anyway, I learned, like, don't friend nobody at your work. Like, just be cordial and do your job and go home. You know what I'm saying? Like, don't tell nobody your business. Just do your job and go home. So the girl, she was like, I don't know how she acted funny. Like, both the girls had used to work at me at my old job. I knew one of them, but I didn't know the other one. Like, she said she worked at my old job, but she had worked day shift. The other girl I knew, she had worked the same shift, and it was night shift with me. So anyway, I was like, okay. She was like, she can come up to the table. We ain't gonna bite. And I was like, girl, I don't know you from Adam. Like, who is you, mama? Who is you, mamas? Like, if you got a problem with me, that between you, God, and your therapist. Like, I don't got time, shorty. I ain't the 1, 2, or 3. Like, I just want. She gave me that. For what, Craig? Like, shorty, really? So anyway, I forgot to mention it was 7:30 at night. We had left. We had got there at 8 o'clock at morning and left at 7:30 at night. Continue. Test assessments or whatever. Like we had to do like so many tests and stuff or whatever. Like the computer for a long period of time. So everybody got tired. So we all was like, "Yo, we gonna leave at 7:30." Bump that. So I'm thinking. So my first day started on a Sunday. I was an overnight stalker, by the way. She said they didn't have any openings. Like they mainly needed, like she hired everybody else for different positions, but the position, like she just hired me for overnight stalking, and she hired another girl for digital. If you don't know what the digital part is, for the ones who don't work at Walmart and about are trying to work at Walmart, basically, you have the online orders you gotta fulfill, and you go and you see people around their carts with you know, trying to fulfill those online orders. Basically, that's what digital is. She needed someone to work that digital thing, and she needed she needed people to do overnight stalking or do both. Like you work digital on do like Monday through Friday, and you work overnight stalking during Black Friday, basically. So anyway, make a long story short. So after my orientation and before I started, I came on YouTube and TikTok. Cause I want to know more about overnight stalking, like how it's gonna be, what should I be concerned about, whatever. Yo, I thought it was all cap. Like I was like, man, it ain't that bad. Everything everybody said on YouTube and TikTok was so true. Like your coaches, basically your coaches are your team leads. Your coaches was wishy-washy. Your supervisor was wishy-washy. You have wishy-washy co-workers. People just doing ignorant stuff. Like, it was just crazy. But I thought it was all cap. So on my first night, I got there at 10 o'clock or whatever. I clock in like at 9:55. Or tried to clock in at 9:55 because I was having problems with my Meet app. And the app was just aggravating the crap out of me. Because 1 minute it'll work and the next minute it didn't. So when I first got there, one of the girls I had orientation with, she was like, yo, what's up, Maria, whatever. I was like, hey, girl, how you doing? And she was like, I'm doing good, girl. I was like, yeah. So she was like, is this your first night? I was like, yeah. She was like, girl, you're going to hate it. I said, what? She was like, I'm about to quit. Like, I know this is like it was her third night, and it was my first night. So she was like, yo, I'm about to quit. Ooh, ooh, ooh. I was like, wow, like you greeting people at the door, you just checking receipts. Like, how hard is that? And she was like, girl, I'm about to quit. Because she said, you about to see what I'm talking about. So I went like you have these little meetings in the break room. I went in the break room, and your coaches and your supervisor, they go over stuff and tell you what you need to do that night, tell you what hour you're gonna be working in as an overnight stalker. So I let them know because I didn't know how the proper protocol was. I didn't know if they're gonna have me train with someone. I didn't know like if I was gonna be by myself or they was gonna have me train with someone. You feel me? So I'm asking, like, you got 2 coaches and a supervisor, or 3 coaches because you had a man in the back. 3 coaches and a supervisor. So I'm asking them questions like, am I training with somebody? Like, what we doing? So they was like looking at me stupid and started laughing. And they was like, well, you in paper and products. You in paper products. And I was like, okay. So I'm like, well, this is my first night. I don't really know what y'all do. If I hit that floor, I don't want to be accountable for anything I do wrong. You feel me? So the lady was like, okay, but I just show you. Like, she had an attitude, like the supervisor had an attitude already. Because I just asked that, like, politely. Because the coaches who supposed to be management, y'all supposed to be team leads, like, y'all ain't want to do that. So the supervisor had to do it. So she was like, oh, so this your first night? I was like, yeah. So she was being a sarcastic because she ain't felt like getting up. Because you know how team leads and supervisors, like, they want to gossip. They want to talk about the new people. They want to talk about the old people. Like, they just want to talk junk about people. So she was like, so basically you're going to have 3 pallets. And you're going to be in the paper plate slash trash bags and and I was gonna be in the toilet paper section. Like, she told me I was gonna be in both sections, basically. And I was like, okay. So I'm up here ripping the plastic with my hand. She was like, no, you need a box cutter. That's why I asked, am I being trained? Like, I didn't say this out loud, but I said to somebody, like, that's why I asked y'all, like, am I being trained? I wouldn't, like, how I was going to get a box cutter. Hold up, y'all. Sorry, somebody calling my phone. So I'm like, how am I supposed to get a box cutter? Like, y'all supposed to provide that, you know? Y'all just looking at me like I'm stupid or something. Like, this is, like, I know what to do. And this is my first night, so I didn't know what to do. So I felt like that was mad crazy. Like, I feel like if a person, if it's their first night, you should at least train them or have somebody train them. But y'all feel like, oh, it's easy. Like, it is easy, but somebody should be like, hey, you're going to need about 2 or 3 buggies. So you could put one for unclaimed items and one for your boxes that you unbox, and one to grab the stuff off the pallet with. You know what I'm saying? Like, you ain't say none of that. So you expect me to automatically know this, and all this is like my first night. So the lady had a mad attitude. So, and she was being sarcastic. She was like, well, you need to use your Me app. So I'm like, the app's supposed to train me? The app is supposed to do this? The app is supposed to do that? Like, y'all expect this app to do everything, and this app barely works. You feel me? So I got the box cutter. I got the buggy. She was like, well, I'll check on you a little later. I was like, okay, you do that. So I'm doing my job. I'm looking. And this Puerto Rican girl, like, when I got to the toilet paper section, this Puerto Rican girl was on that section. Which she was assigned that section in Halloween section or whatever like that, because I was like, okay. So I was asking her question. Like, the Puerto Rican girl helped me. She barely knew English. And I was like, dang. So my own kind wouldn't help me. But, you know, I have this girl who barely know English is willing to help me. Not with no attitude or nothing. Like, she was humble. She was like, yeah, oh man. So they had 2 different trash stocks. One was for the grocery aisle and stuff like that. And the other ones is for, like, your home goods, your Barbie section, makeup section. So the one I was supposed to put my boxes and stuff was the grocery aisle. So I went in the back. She took me to the trash dock. I didn't know how to work the trash dock. So like I said, somebody should be training me, right? So basically this girl took upon herself to carry me underneath her wing. She trained me. She showed me how to work the button. And it took like On my first try, I got it like that. Like, I'm a quick learner. So I'm like, okay. So I messed up a couple of times, like, I'm human, whatever. So I told her, like, lady came back. She was like, "Oh, are y'all doing good? Is everything okay?" And I was like, "Yeah, I have a question. If the shelves are overstocked, um, where am I supposed to put the overstocked stuff?" And she was like, "Oh, you're supposed to put it back on the pallet." And she was like, "You're not supposed to open the box if you already see the shelf is overstocked." I was like, "This is why you need training." So, anyway, the girl, she was like, "Y'all supposed to be done. Y'all not even done." Like, the girl kind of got irritated because we wasn't done. Because I was trying to get a feel of things. And I was almost done, but I wasn't done. And see, me and the girl was doing the same thing. She was like, "Y'all supposed to be finished with y'all pallets before lunchtime." And our lunch was an hour. So, the girl was like, "You know you're supposed to go on lunch at 2:15. I was like, "Well, my app said 3:15. And she was like, "No, it's 2:15. So I was like, "Well, you could go ahead. I just go at 3:15. I thought it wasn't going to be no issue. And plus, I didn't want to get pointed. You feel what I'm saying? So, make a long story short, the lady came back. "Oh, y'all, you supposed to be on break at 2:15. I was like, "Well, you need to put the right time on my app since the app is supposed to tell me everything." The app told me to go to lunch at 3:15 and come back at 4:15. It didn't say go at 2:15 and come back at 3:15. So she was like, "Well, just know you come back, you go at 2:15, you come back at 3:15. I was like, "Okay, I know now." So anyway, this the part you need to know, zoning. So after you get done, you're supposed to be zoning. Whether you zone with somebody else, you zone by yourself, or you zone in a group of people. Like, basically, zoning is you make sure the aisles look full when it technically you probably got a little bit of product on each aisle, but you got to make it come together like the shelf is fully stocked. When probably in behind one thing of juice is probably like 3 juices. Feel what I'm saying? So you gotta make sure everything look nice, neat, and everything look fully stocked when it's not. You feel me? So I seen a bunch of stuff unopened. So that's your unclaimed items. You supposed to take it to the back. Stuff that been open, bust, you supposed to throw it in the trash. But stuff that's been open or um in the wrong on the wrong aisle, you're supposed to take it back to that aisle. That's part of zoning. But stuff that has been open and stuff, you supposed to take it to the back and you supposed to let them know, "Hey, this stuff has been, these are unclaimed items," or whatever like that. So the lady was just getting on my nerve. Like, she was nitpicking on me all because I asked about if we supposed to be training, if somebody supposed to train me or not. So you've been on my butt ever since I asked you that. You know what I'm saying? So, anyways, make a long story short, I was taking a bunch of unclaimed items, and she was like, "Hold up, Maria. You do not need to bring every unclaimed item back here. You need to fold it where the customer don't see that it's been open." I'm like, "What?" So basically, now I'm looking. If I'm a customer, I'm not about to buy something that's already been tampered with. You feel what I'm saying? So you want me to basically put something back on the shelf that been tampered with? No, no, no. So I'm like, yeah, this ain't the job for me. So she sent me to the wine area and all that to make sure everything is zoning and all that. So I seen a bunch of trash. I seen people that worked there. They was eating Like, they didn't pay for these items. Like, you had people who worked there for years and they was eating in different aisles. You know what I'm saying? They was just, and they was drinking the sodas. Like, they'll open a box. People I work with now, these are my coworkers now. Open a box of soda. They didn't pay for it. And drink out that box. And they took it home. But they ain't say nothing to them. You know what I'm saying? Or, like, I probably go to another area and zone, and I'm seeing stuff that's supposed to be in the cooler or in the bakery, and there was someone who was just working over here and they didn't put that stuff away. Or the clothes are everywhere. That's why I say this is a hood Walmart. So I'm like, okay. Nobody, like, the girl didn't fold the baby clothes. Like, she just put stuff on the shelf and just left. And went to another department and started zoning. It was just pathetic. So anyway, I didn't stay there long, basically. I didn't like how they operate things. And the number one thing I didn't like was when customers was coming in, she was getting on my case about zoning. But when I needed to know, like, hey, do I just straightly go home or whatever? Like, they was looking like, hey, you gotta go home. You gotta get off the clock. You gotta get off the clock. I had this old lady looking at me weird because, like, my signal wasn't working unless I'm near the door on the way out the door. That's when my signal was. So I was just standing there with a Puerto Rican girl and this other lady, this elderly lady was talking. They thought I was listening on their conversation when I was trying to get service to clock out. But it was just real ratchet and just real crazy. Which I ain't got no problem. Like I said, I ain't got no problem with the hood or people who act that way. I ain't got a problem with it. But I just feel like it's unprofessional. Like, you eating in front of customers. You get an attitude with me because I'm correcting you. Like, y'all not supposed to eat in front of customers. Like, y'all grabbing stuff off the shelf and eating it in front of customers. Like, that's not right. So, anyway, I was like, yo, this ain't the job for me. So, I ain't stayed there long. After I did my little zoning and I got pissed off, I stayed in the bathroom for the rest of my shift. And when it was time to clock out, I clocked out. I didn't stay long. But if you want to work for Walmart, I would say just do your research before you start working there. And really know what you're getting into. Maybe, like I said, y'all Walmarts might be different from my Walmarts. Here where I stay at. So, that Walmart was just ratchet. Just real ratchet. Real hood. Anyway, I hope y'all enjoyed this video. Comment, like, share. Maybe the ones who work at Walmart, if you worked at Walmart before, comment down below. How was your experience? Maybe you have the same experience I did. Maybe you had a different experience. So share, comment. I hope you like this video. Like, comment, subscribe, hit that notification bell. And I'll see you in the next video.